Welcome back to the channel, and we're going to be discussing and reviewing the Vostok Amphbia. I'm going to give you kind of a brief overview on the specs of the watch, then I'm going to get into the subjective part of the watch and what do I really think about it after owning it for an entire year, or a little bit over a year, because I know this is a very divisive watch. Some people love it, some people hate it. So, reference number 420059 reference, and that's the Scuba Dude reference, and with this case, the 420 case variant. Almost sounds like a weed variant. But I know there are so many different variants of even case sizes, dial variants, but we're going to be focusing on this one today, not the other ones, but obviously. If you do like the content, make sure to drop a like down below, subscribe to see more awesome stuff in the future. I'm going to give you a quick wrist check here. I am wearing my Oris Aquis. Great watch. And with that out of the way, let's just roll the intro, then get right into the content. Okay, so we're just going to hit you off with a couple of the specs here first off, and then we'll get into the subjective stuff and how I actually feel about the watch. So, case size is a 39 millimeter diameter. That's excluding the crown. Lug width, we have 18 millimeters, which means that finding straps for this guy is going to be super easy for you. And we have a very compact 46 millimeters lug to lug distance, which means that for you guys with smaller wrists, this is going to fit quite nicely. It is very versatile. And another thing, last but not least, no thanks to this large domed acrylic crystal, we have 15 millimeters as our thickness. And just for reference, this is how the watch sits on my 6 3/4 inch wrist. Now, screw down crown, it is unsigned, okay? You can buy signed crowns. Obviously, you know, that's going to cost you a little bit extra. So 200 meters of water resistance, or that's what it's rated for. And on the back here, we have it's a signed case back, and it is screw down, although I would more classify the case back as kind of the snap thing, and it just sits over top of a gasket, and actually, it's this outer ring that screws on top of it and kind of compresses it together for that water seal. There is a pretty good video out there that talks about a lot of the engineering that went into this watch. It's a bit of a longer one, but if you want, I can link it down there and you guys can, go to town and learn all about this cool piece. So now, realistically, the bezel, I'm going to say it's, ornamental really only. It is a pain in the butt to move around, and it is pretty much just friction fit in there. And it's a little bit of a pain to move. It's bi-directional. Realistically, I'm going to say it's ornamental at best. Okay. That's the way I'll put it. It's not really the most useful thing. Okay. Now, case is pretty much all high polished, and I say that's acceptable for a watch at this price point. Bracelet. Now you can get the standard Vostok bracelet. I opted to go for the sharkmesh because literally every single person says that the bracelet is trashed here, so I didn't really want to spend my money and just throw it away. But I went for the sharkmesh bracelet. I do have a video talking about how you can size this sharkmesh bracelet. It's actually my most popular video. And so there's that. And a deployant clasp, which is flimsy and cheap at best, but it gets the job done. The sharkmesh, I will tell you, is extremely comfortable. I really, really like it. Also, the vibe it gives off. It's just very nice. It's very cool, in my opinion. All right, so now let's talk a little bit about the dial itself. And let's just zoom in here for you guys, get a better view. And it's this it's like a nice bluish green color. I don't really know the exact color code of it. You could go to Home Depot and try and paint match it. But it is very nice. You can see some of the lume coming in. And here's a little bit of a lume shot for you. So it's not going to win any awards, but it is there. Date complication, the 3 o'clock. It is not a quick set date function. I'll talk about that a little bit later. And then you have this red, contrasted, I would say it's a lollipop second hand. It's almost like a sword minute hand. Then you have that arrow as your hour hand. The indices, like, I guess they're applied. I mean, they look honestly more like really thick stickers than really, applied indices, but it does give it a little bit more depth than something that is just strictly printed on there. All the writing is in Russian, which is pretty cool. The scuba dude, obviously, the reason why most people are going to buy this anyways. But yeah, overall, it's a very, very attractive dial, especially for the price point. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the movement, and it is powered by the Vostok caliber. So it's an in-house movement, 241 6B. It's automatic, features hand winding, but no hacking. Now, power reserve of 31 hours, so comparable. I mean, it's on the low side, but realistically, it's only 7 hours less than like a SW200, right? So yes, it's on the low side, but it's not unbearably low, okay? Accuracy of this movement, in my daily wearing, I'm usually getting about plus 20-ish seconds a day. So it's not it's not super accurate by any stretch of the imagination, but it isn't something where I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm gaining minutes at a time, So, as I said, it does not feature hacking, but there is hand winding. The signature wobbly crown, and it's actually designed like that to prevent from, if I were to bump it, any impact, so it wouldn't damage and bend the stem. Most watches will have crown guards. This was what Vostok decided they wanted to do. So let's pull that out. And I said no hacking. And the one thing that I will say, because this wobbly crown, sometimes it'll try and almost re-thread itself, which can be a bit of a pain while you're setting the date here. So as I said, there is no quick set date function. So I'll give you guys a little trick here, and I'll cycle this through all the way through. So there we go. We want to bring it down. I'll probably bring it down to about the 4 o'clock position. Bring it all the way back around to about the 9 o'clock. And then you're going to notice, pop. So this little trick should save you a couple seconds while you're trying to cycle through the date. The other thing is to actually engage the movement, at least with mine anyways, I don't know about other people's, I actually have to have this completely screwed down in, and it'll engage the movement. If you can hear this, I'll put it up closer to the mic. There, if you heard it. So now it's engaged, which is really bizarre. All right, so now we're really going to talk about the subjective things of this watch. What do I really think about this? Now, realistically, we have to remember the price point, okay? The price point is, obviously about $100-ish, give or take. I'm not including shipping, fees, taxes, blah, 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 stuff like that. I'm just talking the base price of the watch. Realistically, for what you're paying, this is a really, really good spec'd watch, in my opinion. A lot of people come at you and say the movement's trash, it's garbage, it's not accurate, yada, yada, yada. There's so many better things out there. Yes, there are. I'm not even going to try and defend it. There are better things out there. Okay, there are better things out there, but they usually cost a lot more. The moment I start comparing this watch to something like, my Oris, I am going to be disappointed. Why? The Oris is a lot better of a watch. It's just the way it is. I can't sit there and defend this against the Oris. I can't defend it against a Seamaster Professional. I can't defend it against a Rolex Submariner. However, I can tell you that this watch has a lot of cool personality, features, historical significance. It is a really, really cool piece. Is it like some piece of high horology? No, but it's a great entry-level diver, and that's what you kind of need to realize, and that's where it's you keep it in mind, right? For me, this is my beater. This is my go-to beater watch. I wear it when I go fishing. With my dad, I wear it, just around the house if I want to clean or anything. This is my go-to beater. It's really held up quite well, and it does what it was designed to do. It's nothing flashy. It's just a great overall watch. And the thing is, in my opinion, the finishing is actually, it's pretty good for the price point. There are things that are, a little bit subpar. The bezel, I really wish that they, at least made a little bit of a better bezel. But I can live with it. Why? Because I only paid a certain amount. The moment I start, expecting way too much for what I paid, that's the moment I start getting disappointed. But if you know what you're getting, and, there's things that you can live with, right? That's kind of the big takeaway here. And I enjoy this watch. I love wearing my Oris. I love wearing this. And I think the true, a true hallmark of a good, like a watch enthusiast, is that they can enjoy watches from every single price point. It doesn't have to be just, the high-end horology that's being really, really snobby. And I'm not saying that every watch enthusiast out there are really snobby, but they can be. Sometimes you get into that mindset where you buy these, very high-end pieces, and then you cannot enjoy an entry-level piece like this. The other thing I'm just going to throw out there is that there is a huge community behind these guys. The Vostok community, that you can mod them like they're little Civics. Like, you can change the bezels out. There's so many different case sizes, variants, dial variants. You can get different crowns. There's so much going on with these, and the modability on these is just insanely high. And they're cheap. They're cheap. They're dirt cheap to modify. There's so many things you can do with it. It's a rugged, reliable movement. It's not the most accurate. Yes, there are flaws, but overall, at the end of the day, this is a good watch. I like it, and I would highly recommend, if you're on the fence about buying one, just go buy it. What's the worst that happens? You throw away $100? Realistically. Here's the thing. You'll enjoy it so long as you don't compare it to this. If you start comparing it to this, you won't enjoy it. But anyways, I'm going to leave it off there. Rant over at this point. But anyways, thanks so much, and I will, see you later. Take care.